This lesson we'll be learning how to make this piece of constructivist art using Photoshop. First, we're going to start by creating a new file and selecting international paper sizes A3. And we're going to make a slight edit to the size and change the width to 280 and then press OK. We need to change this from portrait to landscape, so we're going to go to image, rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. We now need to set up a grid and our rulers. We'll do this by going to view, ruler, and it'll come along the top and the side. If yours is in inches, you'll need to change this to centimeters. You can do this by double clicking on the ruler and selecting centimeters from the ruler drop down menu and pressing OK. We're now going to put a grid over the top, so we're going to go back to view, show, grid. We are now going to create the triangular portion of the image. We'll do this by taking our marquee tool, which is the second tool down from the top, hold it down and select the rectangular marquee tool, and we're going to pull a marquee across the top two large squares all the way across. I'm going to hold down Shift and repeat the same along the bottom. We're now going to go to our foreground color in our tools option, double click, and we're going to select black and press OK. We're now going to take our paint bucket tool, which can be found underneath the gradient if you can't see it, select it. We're going to create a new layer and fill. Now we've done this, we need to create the reg sections of our image seen here. We're going to do this by leaving a two small square gap, and then we are going to drag our marquee tool across, filling 1.5 squares at the top, holding Shift again so we can select both at the same time, and repeating the process 1.5 squares along the bottom. We're now going to go over to our foreground color at the bottom, double click, and we're going to select a red color. We're going to take our bucket tool and we're going to add this into that area and fill it. We're now going to fill the middle grey area in as well. So we're going to deselect by clicking to the side using our marquee tool, and we're going to leave a space of two small boxes at the top and the bottom. We're going to drag across and we're going to select a grey, a medium grey. We're then going to take our paint bucket tool and we're going to fill that area as well. We're then going to right click off using our marquee tool to deselect. We now need to change this into a triangle shape, and we're going to do this by going to Edit, Transform, Perspective. We're going to take the left topmost corner and drag it down until it reaches the other side. Should have an image that looks like this. We're then going to press the tick at the top of our image. We're now going to zoom out by pressing Ctrl and minus to give us a larger amount of the screen, and then press Ctrl and T. This will allow us to transform. We could have also gone Edit, Free Transform. We're going to pull this image until the end of the triangle meets the fourth line of our grid. We're then going to press yes at the top. We're now going to create this section of our image, and we're going to do so by again selecting the top two squares, holding Shift, selecting the bottom two squares, Going to the bottom of our menu, selecting the foreground color and turning it to black, and using our paint bucket tool again, we're going to fill those areas. We're then going to click off and deselect. We're now going to take our marquee tool again, and we're going to pull it out to the 5th box along from the top to bottom and press delete, removing this area, and then click again to the side to deselect. We're now going to click on our background layer. We're going to go below the background layer and find the circle that is half black, half white. We're going to click on that and select solid color at the top. We're going to move up to yellow, and we're going to pick a yellow in this area. Press OK. This is going to be our background color for our image, and I'm going to zoom back in so I can see in more detail. We are now going to create the circular portion of our image, which will become our mask for our photograph that we're going to insert later. We're going to do this by creating a new layer and dragging out a circle using the circular marquee tool. We're going to fill that with a color of black. At this stage, it doesn't matter too much about the size or whether it's perfectly round. We're going to adjust that now. So we're going to press Ctrl T or Edit, Free Transform, and we're going to drag our circle out so that it fills this area. Ensure that the circle is perfectly round. It should be 10 by 10 across. Now this is right. We're going to click the tick or press enter, and we're going to add a stroke around the inside of our circle. We're going to do this by going to Effects, at the bottom, selecting stroke. Now we need it so that our position is inside, our size is 40, and we're going to then go down to color. We'll click on our color panel, and then we'll use the dropper to select the background color and press OK. We're now going to add the red section at the back we can see here. We will do this by creating another layer that will go below layer 2. Using our rectangular marquee tool, we will select the back portion of our image, leaving a space of 2 in between. Taking our red color, using the paint bucket tool and placing it inside. We now need to create these small triangular shapes we see here. On another layer, layer 4, we are going to use our pen tool. We can zoom in to give ourselves a better view. And here in the corner, we're going to make a selection. We're going to carry on up and try and remain parallel with our black line. Make another selection along the same line as our first point. And then click on our original point to close our shape. We're then going to go to the top and click selection with a feather of 0 radius. We're going to press OK. We're going to go back to our paint bucket tool and click the red color into this shape. We can then zoom out. We're then going to click on layer 4 and select duplicate layer and press OK. Now we duplicate the layer. We're going to press Ctrl T to free transform. We're going to pull it up into space, into the area we want it to. Now we need to flip this around. And we're going to do this by selecting the height at the top here and pressing minus in front of the 100, which will flip the image round, and then we can move it into place so that it matches our first position. And then press the tick button to finish. We now need to add this red section that is running over the top of these other lines. So again, using our pen tool, go down to the pen tool, We are going to carefully click on this corner in line with our other red triangle, and then we're going to create a meeting point between the two. Now we can see here my line does not quite fit perfectly, so I'm going to go to the direct selection tool here, which is the white arrow, click on my shape and pull mine back slightly until it meets up with the black lines. Here we can now see the line meets perfectly. We're going to go back to our pen tool, pick selection at the top with a feather of 0 again, and press OK. Now we have our marquee around the edge. We're going to create a new layer. Using our paint bucket tool, we're going to fill that area. We need to then drag that layer to the top. As we did before, we're going to add a stroke to this layer. We're going to do this by going to the Effects tool at the bottom, selecting Effects, Stroke, and this time we want our stroke to be on the outside. We're going to go to a feather of 40 again, and we're going to select in our color, our background color. We're then going to press OK on the color, and then OK on the stroke. We now need to bring in our image that we took before. So we're going to take our image, we're going to right click, copy, edit, paste our image in. We're going to drag this layer to the top, and we're going to turn the opacity down to 70 so we can see the image, but we can also see the images behind. We're going to press Ctrl T to transform our image, and we're going to pull it into shape. We want to use the lock tool at the top to lock the ratios in place, and we're then going to drag it until it fits well with our space. We can turn it if we need to, and then press OK. We now need to create a clip mask on this layer. Before we do that, we're going to go to our circular layer. We're going to right click on our layer, and we are going to rasterize the layer. This means that the white area and the black area become solid objects that we can interact with. We're then going to take our fourth tool down, the magic wand tool, and on our layer of the circle, click on the black space. We're then going to go back to our image layer, and we're going to add a clip mask, which is at the bottom of the layers tool, and we're going to click on this button here. We can now see that if we put the opacity back up, it is in the shape of our circular area that we are looking for. We're now going to drag that down so it is in between our circle and our top layer. We need to change the shape of our two triangular layers so that it is more like this, so it seems as if the voice is speaking out into the image. We're going to use the pen tool for this, so I'm going to turn the opacity down on my two triangle layers. I'm going to zoom in so I'm better able to see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to select the pen tool. I'm then going to draw around, following the contour of the mouth, a shape. I'm then going to turn that into a selection and press OK. I'm now going to delete the top layer and the layer below. Now when we turn the opacity back up, we can see that we have created our shape coming out of our mouth. We are now going to edit our image so that it has a sort of old printed feel that relates more to the original artist. We're going to click on our layer of our face, and we are going to go Edit, Adjustment, Desaturate, removing all of the color. We're then going to make sure our foreground color is selected as black and our background color is white. We're now going to add a filter to our image, and we're going to do this by going to Filter, Filter Gallery, and we're going to go to Sketch and select a half-tone pattern. Down in the bottom corner, we can zoom out so we can see our image better. We're going to change our size of our dots to 6 and our contrast to 40 using a dot pattern. Now, lastly, we need to add in our fonts. For this, I am using a Kremlin font, which I've downloaded from DeFonts. So you can go to the DeFonts website and select Kremlin. Download. Open up the fonts and click install. I've already installed this, so I'm just going to replace the one that's already there. If you're not able to install this font and it doesn't work on your computer, instead of using the Kremlin font, we will simply use an Arial font set to bold. But for this, I'm going to use the Kremlin font. Now we have our font selected. We're going to move to the top layer and we're going to write KHNRN. This is the words used in the original image. And then press OK. We're going to move these so that they align in the center of our triangle. And we're going to press Ctrl-T to transform them so that they are more sized to fit our shape. Locking the layers and the ratios together. Putting it back in the center and pressing the tick at the top. Before we can transform this layer, we need to select and rasterize the typeface, turning it from a text into an image. We're then going to go to Edit, Transform, and select Perspective. We're going to drag the corner up until the image matches our shape and press the T. We're now going to add some text around the outside of the image. So at the top, I'm going to write the word Constructivism. We're then going to take that and we're going to duplicate that layer, pressing OK. We're then going to pull that using the Move tool down to the bottom, keeping it in line with our original word. We're then going to press Ctrl-T and holding down the Shift key, we're going to rotate round the image and press OK. Now there's also text in here, which we're going to use a very similar technique to the one that we used for our black fonts here. But we're going to keep with our original background color layer. And inside, I'm going to write propaganda. But I want to split that so that they are even across the board. It's nice to use a word that you can split using even numbers. It will fill the space in nicely. We're now, same with the area before, we need to first fill out the space by pressing Ctrl-T and moving it to the center. And then we're going to click OK, right click, rasterize type. We're going to go to Edit, Transform, Perspective. And we're going to drag it out so that again it is in line with our triangular shape, keeping the same perspective going back into the image. Then press OK. Now the last few finishing touches, we're going to add some more text along the red area. So we're going to select the text tool, click in the space, and we're going to write NEH, which is what we can see in the original image. We're going to drag that down so it is in line with our constructivist text. We're going to duplicate the layer and drag that down as well so that they all line up. And finally, the last step, we're going to go to Image, Canvas Size. This is going to add a border around the edge, and we're just going to increase our size of our canvas in both directions by 1 to 23 and 29 in height. Press OK. We can see now that we are picking up a small bit of our triangle, so we're going to go back to that layer, use our marquee tool and delete that area. We have now finished and completed our constructivist poster.